Morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well, doing well. Very hot at the moment in southeast Queensland where we both live. So we're baking in the heat. It's about close to 40 degrees Celsius here in Oz at the moment. So it's definitely quite a warm one. You definitely want to have a pool or be by the beach, which I know Craig is. So that's always handy. So talk to me, Craig. What are you looking at just before we end the year in 2023?
Oh man, so much. The markets have been hot. Obviously, from altcoins to even Ethereum having a good run yesterday, finally piping up. So obviously, all the Ethereum maxis were on the timeline telling everybody how they should have left Solana and should have gone into Ethereum, which I find kind of funny because I figure you could have both. You guys know that, right? But
Yeah,
anyway, I like both. But yeah, man,
yeah.
look, the whole market's been hot. NFTs, we got tons of stuff to talk about. So yeah, good day, everyone. My name's Craig. For those who don't know me, and I'm here to talk crypto, I guess in a wider macro sense with Greenie today. So good day, everyone, and good day, Greenie.
Yeah, no, thanks for being here, Craig. And yeah, please, guys, Craig's socials are all in the description if you're on YouTube. And obviously, I tagged him in the posts on Twitter, so you can definitely follow him here. And obviously, if you're new to my channel, please follow me on Twitter as well and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Really do appreciate it. GM to everyone in the chat. Yep, GM everybody. I'll do my best if you are on Twitter to make sure that the live stream works. It looks like it's not really working. Oh, no, it does look like it's working. Yeah, we got 4 views. Okay, that's cool. All right, Matt. All right, well, I thought we'd just start nice and easy, take a broad perspective, then we dive in a little bit deeper into where we think we're heading. Obviously, before we get there, I hope you had a good Christmas, Craig.
Yeah, same to you. Yeah, it was good. Just ate a lot, drank a bit too much, and it ended up being sunny on the Gold Coast where I am, which is probably the first
Yeah,
Christmas in maybe 5 that hasn't been torrential rain. We're pretty
yeah.
tropical here for those who don't know. So hot and rainy season's on at the moment. So we got lucky. Was it the same where you were?
Yeah, I had a mad time. I definitely had a few too much food and beers, that's for sure.
Mm.
But yeah, dude, it was crazy. Like there was some mad storms. I was up in Toowoomba and then down in Brizzy and the coast sort of region as well. So there was some mad storms. Being hammered at the moment, so I hope everyone's safe out there. But no, I had a mad time. It was kind of nice to step away from Web3 for a little bit as well. I think that we'll talk about it today too. I think I was very like in my Discord. I was very unsure whether I should change a few of my Solana bags into BTC and to Ethereum. So we can definitely talk about that a little bit later. I ended up not doing anything. I just kept my bags in Solana because I am probably still more bullish longer term.
Mm.
But yeah, that was an interesting conversation I was having in my chat just the other day. We'll start with this because I think this is actually one we haven't really spoken about before is the actual fear and greed index. So if you have a look here, guys, we're currently in greed. So that often is where we sit when we're in a bull market is up in these green sort of levels. Obviously, when we have extreme greed up in those sort of higher 25 percentile ranges is when you probably should really consider taking some profit off the table because that's always a good indicator. It's a social indicator. It's also a indicator in terms of price action and that sort of thing. So that's one that I like to look at. Craig, do you check that one out often?
I sort of look weekly or daily, more so in peak bull and
Yeah.
peak bear, just to see how bad people think things are or how great they think it is. I think it
Yeah.
was last week or the week before was extreme greed. So sort
Yeah.
of come back a little bit, interestingly enough. But yeah, for myself, I'm probably as greedy as ever at the moment. As
Oh,
greedy.
yeah, man. We've seen some mad pullbacks on some good tokens. So if we have a look back against the board here, you can see that there is a bit more red over the market at the moment. Solana's back down to $100. It peaked at about $124. That's where I was a bit tempted to take some off the table. So if you did, obviously it's moved down about that 20%. Or maybe not quite 20%, yeah, about 15% in the past couple of days. I think that's a healthy retrace. We'll look at the charts soon, guys, don't worry. But it's definitely a healthy retrace, that's for sure. But yeah, if we have a look, some of your top altcoins, so even AVAX is starting to take a bit of a breather. We saw Polygon and Dot go on a run, which is great to see. Some other layer ones and layer twos starting to heat up, and those are the top 20. So if we have a look in the last 24 hours, what's pumping? So we got Uniswap and Cake also swapping Aave. So DeFi and Dexes are starting to move up a little bit. Binance is also pumped a little bit, which is interesting. I thought Casper's maybe starting to come back. That's one that I've been in for a very long time. But again, it needed the cool off because it's gone up like I can't even remember the math, but it's gone up from 100 million to basically 3 billion. I think it was maybe a month ago. So that's insane returns across the whole year of 2023. So definitely one that needs to just cool off for a little bit. But yeah, very interesting across the markets. I put this tweet out last night, guys. But essentially, I was just looking at the total crypto market cap. Obviously, we're breaking out early. We broke out at the end of October. We've spoken about this previously on live streams as well. It's definitely an interesting time because our accumulation is definitely shorter compared to previous cycles. And that's either obviously, I think we're front running, obviously, the ETF news, institutional capital that's coming in, all those types of things. The narratives are really strong. There's a lot of oversold territory, particularly on things like Solana that due to the FTX debacle, the Luna collapse, all that sort of stuff. I think it led to a shorter accumulation in terms of how I like to track it. And that's just from the second peak after the main peak. So that's how I like to track it. And then as soon as we break out of the zone where we treat it as resistance at the top there. So it is 588 days. The previous one was like double that. So like 900 days. So I think a cooling off period is definitely warranted. Again, really interestingly, it's come at no surprise that we are really starting to retest previous support that we did hold. So if we look here, we held that sort of range for about 120 days last cycle. So it's the first sort of level where we tried to bounce 3 times. And then obviously we cracked down, and that was the proper bear market from last cycle. So that was the end of, mid 2022. But obviously we're starting to retest that sort of zone. So there's no surprise that we are sort of facing a bit of resistance there in terms of total crypto market cap. But it's pretty crazy to see that we're moved up over 1.6 trill. I would maybe suggest that we would love to see a bit of a pullback again. I think there's a few things that a lot of people, like you can see here, we're flirting with that 1.65 sort of area. So we might break it, which is great. But I think I'm much of a believer that you want to have healthy pullbacks so that you can prolong the bull run, Craig. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I'm probably the same as you. Just looking at that, looks like it needs to pull back a bit or cool down a bit. I mean, it's same as what you said. I'd love to see it break through there and just send, but I kind of feel the pain will be greater if that is the case. Also, it's nice to have pullbacks. It kind of gives you entries to coins you might be looking at. I think it's nice to have time. So for me at the moment, I'm still buying into things. So I'm happy for that to pull back and just chill out, give me an entry on some stuff as I accumulate, obviously fiat or normal money to get entries to this. I need a bit more time. So I kind of think the longer the bull market is, the better. It gives entries, also gives nice slow exits as well at, certain points. So if it just ripped now, I'd be caught way off guard. Or nowhere near where I want it to be. So no, I'd be happy for it to come back, give me some entries, and then ride it up again and do that for the next sort of 2 years would be great for me.
All right, before I dive into further, what sort of tokens are you looking at for your entries during this potential sort of fear time period?
What ones am I loving? I'd love some more Beam. Beam, IMAX, AVAX. Sol for me is looking, I'm interested. I've been watching that a little bit to see if it breaks down to sort of the $80 region. I'd like some more Joe. And another one that's been quite interesting, which is actually pumped against the trend, is Naka. Games. That's actually flying. So it's interesting to see that send so hard versus everything pulling back. And I think that was up. So up sort of around 20% for the day's day, or 15%. So sort of all those ones I named. And there's a few others I'm waiting for, but mainly Sol, AVAX, IMAX, and Beam are probably my main.
Did you see that there was a meme coin on Beam yesterday, actually?
No, I didn't.
No, so it looks like there's a bit of meme coin action on Beam as well. So that's obviously the Avalanche network. So it's fascinating. Yeah, so I can't remember, someone in my group shared it yesterday, and they're like, "Oh, hey, this is it's a meme coin on Beam," and I didn't do too much research because I just wasn't at my computer. But yeah, it was pumping. It was like some people got in very early, and it was definitely up a good multiple X's. So it looks like there's lots of opportunity across the market. Again, I just wanted to paint a picture. Like last cycle, we broke out. We like, as you can see already here, guys, on the screen, like we broke out right now ahead of the halving, whereas last cycle, it took us until like a couple months after the halving before we did see that breakout. But before we actually had a first pullback, we pumped about 170%. And then our pullback was around that sort of 30%. So if we just look at where we are currently today, obviously we are ahead of time, but if we look up and see how far we've pumped about only 26%. So obviously there's more liquidity in crypto now, so it does take probably less returns to get a higher pump. So there's still a lot more upside before we do start to see a bit of a pullback, which is very interesting. But let's dive into alt. We'll touch on BTC and ETH really quickly. Again, we're starting to see just consolidation across the board. So again, this is on the weekly chart, guys. So I like to take a zoomed out macro perspective, just to make sure that you're looking at what the higher timeframes are really showing you, then dive into the lower timeframes. So looking at the daily, looking at the 4 hours. But again, Bitcoin's kind of in this no man's land. I would expect it to kind of either go up to the 48 sort of 50K region and then maybe pull back, or it starts to pull back early and head back down to this mid 30 sort of level is probably what I'm looking at the moment. ETH, obviously, like you spoke about, Craig, before, is starting to break out. Obviously, I've got a little chart. We'll zoom in on the 4 hour and the 1 hour, 1 day in a minute. But it's still moving up in this uptrend here. We will look at the ETH versus BTC chart. I actually shared that again last night. Very interesting sort of time frame and movements there. But let's look at the 4 hour for ETH. As you can see here, it did break out. It held this breakout as support and then pumped up nice yesterday. So it would have been a great trade. That's a 10%. So if you had even 10% leverage, that's 100% return. So there's plenty of money to be made. I've actually found, and we'll talk about this soon too, Craig, is meme coins are kind of cooling off a little bit, I've found. And I think my group's been focusing more on the leverage side of things. NFTs have also been cooling off as well. So it's a very interesting time in the market. I think maybe everyone stepped away for Christmas and for New Year's. People are away. Liquidity's away because people aren't working, that sort of thing. So interesting times at the moment. So I think that's where leverage is sort of being a really good focal point, I suppose, whilst the rest of the market kind of cools off. So that was ETH. Obviously, it did break its high, previous high, so that's good. But whether we see a pullback, it might hold this potential zone here. I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look in a bit. ETH versus BTC. Now, this is what I was looking at yesterday, guys, and I shared this on my Twitter. But ETH compared to BTC did bounce, and that's bullish. Like Craig said, I'm a Sol Maxi at the moment, but I also have exposure to ETH. I think ETH is the second superior to obviously BTC. So I think you want to have exposure to ETH. I think it's always going to be around. Obviously, I hope that they can fix. Vitalik's even said it before. He hopes to fix the problems with ETH gas in time. It just takes longer because it's a harder blockchain to fix, I suppose, and that's why the layer 2s are there and all that type of narrative as well. And we're starting to see some meme coins run on layer 2s as well. So I don't know. This is a good chart for me. It's held this support level for a very long time. Like, what's that? Like, that's 2 months nearly that it's definitely held that. So I'd love to see it sort of come back up here because we've had a lot of lower highs. So this could be the first sort of change in structure. Like, it is kind of a higher low. So it might be the first time that we see ETH start to outperform BTC. Now, do I have the dominance chart? I think I do. Yeah. Yeah, so as you can see here, BTC dominance is also breaking down, and that's a bullish sign for ETH and alts because it means that money is going to flow into altcoins and stuff like that. So as you can see here, guys, it has broken down. I would maybe expect it to either retest maybe the 50%, if not all the way down to the 48%. So that's very interesting, actually. So if we have a look at some alts, so Solana obviously needed to cool down. I marked some levels that I was thinking it could potentially pump up to. Obviously didn't get to that level at 135. It got rejected from this level here, which is the previous sort of support and resistance zones for both when we were pumping up, but also when we were pumping back down. So it's no surprise that we're starting to pull back here. And then obviously we have a resistance zone here down at the sort of 88 level. I'm seeing a lot of people call for at least under 100. We're hitting under 100 sort of today. I've seen calls for 90. I've seen calls for 70. I think this is just, like you said, Craig, a great DCA area. Like, my narrative is always anything that dips over 20% in a bull market, which we are definitely in, is a absolute DCA entry. And Solana, Solana's hit that 19% right now. So I think that's a great DCA entry because the pump from there to all-time highs is still like probably nearly 1.6. So that's 60% returns to all-time highs. That's still insane if you consider it to traditional markets. So very interesting. So that's what I'm looking at for Solana. I would potentially like it to come down a little bit lower. I do like to draw some fibs as well. So if we have a look at some potential fib levels, if I can just get it nice and easy, the 6.18 might be a really good region as well at that low 80 mark as well. So that's probably where I'm looking. I think I would aggressively look to buy below 90 is probably what I would like to see. Craig, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's sort of the levels I was looking at. I was sort of looking at around the $100 mark or sort of around mid 80s. So what you just said there, anything sort of under 90, I'd start to go in quite heavy. I considered buying today at about 100. Well, last night actually was about 103. And then I thought I'd sort of just, looked at the daily and I thought, no, I'm going to wait a bit longer. We might cop 80, 85, 86 here. So I'm going to hold off a bit longer, but I don't mind. I'd quite like to see sort of 80, 86, to be honest. That'd be fine. It would be within the normal movements of a chart. And it would give us, I think it would give us a great entry. I think over time that could probably, be quite a good trade, like you said. And I'm still bullish on the Sol narrative's still there. It's still strong. It's not going away. This is normal price action. It's not like there's anything that's changed fundamentally about anything. So for me, the show goes on, and this is going to keep pumping, and it's going to go up and down, up and down. A lot of times throughout this bull market, it's going to scare a lot of people. It's going to excite a lot of people. But yeah, like you said, that's sort of my numbers as well. In a bull market, a 20% pullback for me is about the levels I've always looked at. 20% or more for me is a buy. If you can get 30, that's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, 20% a great entry. So we're sort of flirting with that now with Solana. Yeah. So I think that's potentially a fairly good buy at the moment.
Yeah, another one, obviously Solana's main DEX is Radium. This is one that I had been accumulating down here in these sort of regions. It's definitely starting to pull back. So that's one I would recommend that people look into. It's down, about that 30%. So it's hitting very nice sort of levels. Obviously, if we zoom out to the weekly, it has pumped quite a lot. So it's no surprise. But again, this is a great example of how much upside some of these ecosystem tokens still have, like to an all-time high. That's still an 11x and then 11x, right?
I've been looking at this to cop soon. So actually, that's good that you mentioned it. I've been waiting to get in. So it looks like it's pulled back nicely. So I might actually get into that today.
Yeah, no. So my group managed to catch a few of these. We caught the Solana and the Radium actual shorts, so that was really nice. I saw this sort of equal triple head, so that's always a potential sort of head and shoulders, but also the triple top here is often a bearish signal. So that's why we did take the trade. I think we got in here and we got down here. So we've had trades, across the market in shorts at the moment, which is good to see because. Like, obviously, I'm still very macro bullish. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think you have to be. Like, there's no signs, like you just said, there's no fundamental change that has changed your bias. But I think you can still have swing trades is what you call this, up and down as you go through a healthy bull market.
Yeah. And I suppose good that there's opportunities to make money even when the market's going down, right? Because
that is it.
With pullbacks is that people can kind of get a bit itchy because they see the number going down, and it's a nice way of making a bit of side money to then obviously put into your DCA and the coins you really like with futures and things. So good strategy.
And I think that's a lot of people in crypto just don't have the experience and don't have the knowledge. They don't have they probably trade too much on emotions as well. And I try to stress this so often because it's just like, nothing can pump up forever, right? It needs to go up, it needs to retrace, it needs to go up, it needs to retrace, because that's just healthy market structure. So that's the sort of things that I like to look for, and that's the sort of education that both of us try to bring to the party. So again, this is what I'm looking at for AVAX. Obviously, we broke up, we had that retest here, and it pumped a little bit, it pumped a little bit. Obviously, there wasn't enough volume to take this higher, and it has broken back down into that sort of higher time frame range, as you can see here. So again, like, look at this, guys, like, AVAX since November is up, like it pumped, 2.6x, so like nearly 3x there. So it's no surprise that we might need to have a bit of a pullback in these top tokens. It, again, doesn't make us bearish. It just makes us more bullish because you get to buy it at a lower level.
Yeah, that's another one. AVAX is another one I'm looking at again, thinking, I wouldn't mind copping a bit soon, but I need to fill up my Solana bags a bit more. So Solana's got my attention for now.
Yeah, excellent. No, I agree. And I think like we spoke about these tokens, I think Craig and I have a very similar bag just because that's the sort of levels that we've been looking at for a long time. The fundamental coins that have a lot of interest in terms of what they're doing utility-wise, what they also bring to the party on their blockchains that they're on, and all those types of things. So this is obviously IMEX. I traded this for on the weekly for a double bottom breakout. Here, it's obviously pumped higher than that. We're starting to see a bit of a retrace on IMEX as well, so I can remove these because that trade is no longer valid. But if we have a look again on the 4 hour, we are starting to see it's honestly, this one actually still looks pretty good.
Yeah.
We haven't even seen much of a pullback yet on IMX, and it's still holding very strong bullish structure. So this could potentially break down from here if it holds that level there, it might bounce, but if not, it might break back down and retest sort of these ranges down here. But yeah, a lot of bullishness there with IMX, which is great to see. Let's move to Beam, because I know this is one again that we both hold, and it's kind of consolidating here. Obviously, we had this pattern on last week's stream that we're looking at. It did break up again, but again, there was no volume to support this breaking higher, which is often what happens. It does trend back down. I have the volume candles turned off at the moment. And as you can see here, it's starting to break down. So again, you could probably redraw this, guys. I might do this live with you because a lot of people always request that. They're like, oh, Greeny, can you do some TA live? So I do like to do it from time to time. But like you could probably say there's a bit of a support zone there. You could also even say it might be bouncing on a little support zone currently as well. So that's probably where I'd be looking to see if it can hold this sort of level. So this is Beam, one of the premier sort of collections on AVAX. So again, I'd probably be looking at that sort of structure there over the next sort of week or so. So if I look here, yeah, it might even be a week and a half before we see some price action on Beam. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at in Beam. Again, it's been up only for a long time. So it's just like things need to cool off for a bit. Like, look at that. Like it's been up only since like, November. So it pumped, 5X. So like, you need to have a cool off. So there's nothing wrong with that. But this still has so much potential. Its utility is really starting to heat up. Beam in the Avalanche system, gaming narrative, all that type of stuff is really starting to heat up, which is great. Another token that I have exposure to is obviously Vulcan Forge. We'll look at Nakamoto games in a minute. Please remind me to do that. But Vulcan Forge broke up. Obviously, we had this long accumulation zone for Vulcan Forge, as you can see here on the screen. Let's pull that in a little bit so it's a bit nicer. There we go. It's pumped up. Obviously, same sort of chart as what we were looking at earlier with a few different tokens. It's starting to retest some of those previous support zones from last cycle. So again, it's probably a really nice area to sort of cool off for a bit because it's where we had previous support resistance. So it's good to see that we are seeing some green, but also seeing a bit of a healthy retrace across the market. So that's Vulcan Forge. Again, a big gaming narrative token that I have exposure to and think it's a good one that you want to hold for the near term. Now, Craig, I want to actually question you a little bit. Like, I saw a few top people in the space talk about maybe other potential tokens outside of AVAX and Solana as the main narrative. One we were looking at was actually NIA. Do you have exposure to any NIA at all?
I don't. I have seen it on my timeline being mentioned a bit more, I think, this week and last week, though, but I don't. I actually haven't looked into it closely at all.
Yeah. This is one I'm going to do my research into. That I'm just sort of looking at other Says and Say, Sui, Nia, those sort of other layer ones, layer twos that are really starting to pop off. Probably some good opportunities across the market as liquidity sort of maybe drips down from Solana and AVAX into other sort of plays. Even Arbitrum becomes a nice possibility at the moment, being that premier sort of layer two, on Ethereum. So they're definitely ones that I'm looking at. But let's look at Naka because I also have exposure to it. Let's go to the KuCoin chart. Not sure if I have any previous price action, but we'll start. I always like to start again quite on the higher time frame. So this is Nakamoto's. As you can see, we broke out of a long accumulation zone quite a while ago, so that's good to see. It's showing strength, as Craig said earlier, guys. It has pumped, so it's only a 2x pump. So some other tokens have outperformed it, but as you can see here on the chart, it's still looking very bullish. So if we just zoom in a little bit, there we go. Like you said, Craig, it's actually breaking the trend whilst the rest of the market sort of heads down. It's starting to pump up. So I'd love to see volume kick in. I wonder if I have the volume. Let's just put volume indicators on. Training view is going to ruin me. Never mind, I can't do it at the moment. But it looks like, if we had a good spike in volume down the bottom here, guys, you would love to see this continue higher. If there's no volume and it's just sort of red volume or it's still consistent volume candles for Nakamoto, then it probably will come back down. So definitely look at that. But it's one that I've got in my bags, Craig. Have you actually looked at the utility side of it and their product that they've got?
I have only briefly, not a heck of a lot. It was actually a couple of weeks ago. And to be honest, it's funny when I'm researching these coins, when I looked at it maybe a month ago or whatever, I sort of put it to the back of my mind what I was even looking at, just moving on to the next. I wrote some small notes, but I can't remember where they are. Yeah. I had some short notes. What sort of got your interest on it?
I'll pull it up in a second. Let's have a look. So we're going.
Am I right? It was mobile gaming as well.
Yes, and I believe it does have some mobile exposure. Let me just pull it.
Which is, I think, the main reason I sort of was more interested was the mobile side. But they look like their main account was starting to pump. Though, where is it?
Here we go. All right. So if I share their Twitter page, this is what it looks like. They have 200 plus games live. They have 650,000 registered users. Obviously, they're from the sort of Asian countries over in that side of the world. But yeah, they have a lot of following. Their sentiment is growing. As you can see here on the screen, we have some Knuckaverse 2.0 Unreal Engine. So Unreal Engine for the non-gaming people is a strong engine out there for gaming at the moment. So we're starting to see a lot of interest. Again, they're having a lot of money and GameFi involved. They got game funds. I'm sure, like Craig just said, you got play to earn as well. They have mobile apps, so that's like if you're building games, you want to have exposure to not only computer but also to video. But you want to have exposure to mobile games, so that's great to see. Obviously, this is their website. Is what it looks like. You can come and have a look at all of this. You can stake the token. You can obviously refer people. You can have the swap. So it's great. Like as you can see here, a range of different games, and that's what you want to see. Essentially, what I'm betting on in the gaming focus is the platforms that have games, okay, and give you options to play. That's why, like, picking one game is always way too hard, right? And that's why I'm bullish on Bob and Forge, because they also have a platform, right?
Yeah. You want studios, don't you, or platforms,
Yes.
like you said. I'd rather bet on the platform or the studio versus one game. I'd rather essentially bet on 100 games that may make, and one of them should hit, right? And I sort of also think, I remember last bull run, the play to earn narrative is massive, and I feel it's going to be the same again. And you'll notice with their marketing there, they're quite heavy. Well, they're pushing quite heavily on play to earn now, and especially being mobile. So that for me, just look, whether they succeed or not is a different story. But the fact that for me, like you, I trade on narrative a lot. If the narrative's there, regardless of whether they actually succeed, is sometimes irrelevant in this bull run. If they do succeed and they kick ass, then that's just better for our bags, right? But just the narrative being there saying this is what we're trying to do. What I saw last bull market was enough to pump coins 20, 50x. So I just want to sit in gaming tokens. It was that one, and I'll just try to bring it up. There was another one. I was actually going to ask you about it. I'll see if I can find my notes. Is it called Playable Games? What's it called? On AVAX. I wrote a note here, but I was trying to...
Is it Playable Games?
Yeah, Playable Games.
Yeah.
Smaller cap, high risk is my notes.
But that's honestly, that's where you can make the most insane returns. I wonder if I can find it here in the list. If not, I'll search it. It has a 3 as the bull, doesn't it?
I haven't found it. I wrote it in my notes, and I was going through my list of what I need to cop. Yeah. And it was the second gaming token I had there, but I actually haven't found what it looks like.
Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, I think this is the one you're referring to. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, it's got an 8. That's why I couldn't find it. And a 3 for the B.
Yeah.
I was looking last night, and I was like, I'll just find it tomorrow. I sort of wanted to see what the price action looked like, because I did have it in my notes to make sure to get some. So I actually don't even know what it's done.
Well, okay, this is again, this is really good insight, because this is what I like to do when I do my research, guys. But I come to obviously CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko. I have a look at the chart. Obviously, we've pumped quite a lot, so that was 0.0008. So we're up basically 9x since the lows. But some other things to note. Obviously, I have to dive in further, but the market cap's only at 33 mil, but fully diluted market cap is at 10x that. So that's maybe a concern to dive into how the token's being allocated, whether it's you got to earn them in games and stuff. Maybe that's a better, more bullish sort of thing. But one to definitely look at. As you can see, only supply, about what's that, like quick math is like a 8x is sort of total supply of the tokens are out. So again, I'd have to do further research. Again, if they're locked up for a period of time, or if they are actually in like part of the game or part of the ecosystem, then that makes me probably more bullish to buy this token. It doesn't mean that it's not going to perform. It just means that it's harder, that people might get unlocks that you're not aware of, and they could dump on you. That side of things. I have looked at this before, and there are a few people, I think in my Discord, or a few people have been talking about this one. So again, I'll have to dive in a little bit deeper, but this is what their website looks like, guys. As you can see here, they've got some nodes on there. They've got the coins, so you could dive into some research. They've got some gamers. Looks like they've got a lot of media on here, which is great to see. They've got their white paper there, so you can definitely come and have a look. So they're harping on the marketing side of things, so lots of people are talking about it. So what I'd like to see on here is maybe a bit of actual games and maybe some studios and what's actually happening. So here's their roadmap. So where are we right now? So Reject Pi stopped. Yeah, rejected, stopped all funding. There you go. So that's a little bit of negative news in 2022. We're currently here. Yeah. So we're down. Yep. So we're looking here. Market. Yeah. So that, as you can see, that's what I've already picked up from the website, that there's marketing happening. So I'd love to see some. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like some games are going to be released. Yeah. So two in this quarter, whether they're released or not, or not. But again, it could be a good token. Could be a good token because of the AVAX narrative as well. So this is playable games.
That's sort of the way I was thinking about it, just being with AVAX. I was like, a gaming coin within that ecosystem could be great. In saying that, it could turn to custard, this one. It's one of those for me that I'm the same as you. I just, I had a few notes written there. One of the notes I wrote obviously was much higher risk. So it's possibly not as strong as Nakamoto. But has potential, but looks to me like they're a bit behind Nakamoto, aren't they, as far as where the releases are. So whether they are in time, for the hype phase, don't know. I guess, like you said, it depends how these games go and what they look, or at least what they look like.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. It depends on what these 5 games that they got listed here. If they've got enough users playing them, if they've got good graphics, if they're easy to understand, easy to play, easy to access, then you could see this potentially running a bit hotter. But at the moment, it looks as though they're heavily on the marketing side of things. If we come to the top, so we'll just click on the first one to have a look. Play nice over play now. So third person shooter game. It is available. So again, it's on Epic Games. So that's bullish because they're integrated to Epic Games. Looks like they're releasing patch notes. I'm sure you could watch this here if you're into that. So I think it kind of looks like a bit of a Halo game in my opinion. Which is it follows that sort of narrative. So different skins, different players, different characters over on the side. Yeah, so it could be like this one could be popping off. I just haven't heard about it, and I think that's maybe like where I prefer. Okay, so they've integrated some meme coins and other things, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, I might. Thanks for sharing it, Craig, because I might do a bit of further research into this later today and see if I can pick some up. Always then like to go back to here and just see where you can actually buy this token, because that's also quite a thing as well, because friction in crypto is a big narrative, and if people can't put in the effort and there's too much to do, then people often fade it, right? Because it's not ease of access. So as you can see here, it's quite accessible. Obviously, you can buy it on Trader Joe, you can buy it on MEXC, so that's good to see. So yeah, maybe I'll get a bit of exposure to this.
It looks like it's still fairly early days, doesn't it, exchange-wise as well? It's still missing a lot of the mid to bigger ones. So I mean, if we've got a couple of good listings, it could go quite well. I need to check it out a little bit more. That price action, though, it's pumped a lot. So I just need to pick a few other things, make sure it's still got heaps more in it. But yeah, that's one of the more, I suppose, abstract or weirder ones. It kind of caught my eye. Anything else? Anything else, Greenie, you're looking at that's a bit left of field or a bit different?
I haven't dived too much. I've heard Easy and Kicks on the Nifty show talk about Ronin quite a lot. Again, it's got that sort of added layer of friction, but is dominating gaming in so many different ways. You can stake the token, so many things, but the upside, like we start to talk about, Craig, as liquidity flows into the gaming ecosystem, you probably want to be looking further down in the crypto market caps, because your return on something like Ronin is probably only going to be 2 to 3x across the next couple of months. So you want to be diving a little bit deeper. Same thing with sort of like Prime pumped up. Like that's already like a 5x. So you probably want to be avoiding that. I'm still bullish on Vulcan Forge. It's at 210. So I still think that could move up to about $1 billion. So that's a 5x still to this. This sort of thing. We were looking at the chart earlier, but like that's a great accumulation. And their platform, like just to show you a comparison, guys, is again, this is what I like to do. So if you come to their platform, like they've built their own blockchain, right? So they've got their whole users using Elysium as their blockchain. They've got Web3 gaming studios on here. They've got multiple games. They've got I can't remember the stats, but they've got an immense amount of people actually playing their games every single day. They've got marketplaces. So again, you can see here they're not shilling their product. They've actually got product implemented and built already. So that's where you kind of want to see it for this sort of cycle.
Yeah, that looks strong, a lot stronger than the prior example, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, so YouTube videos on the front page. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
More about actual substance than talking about what they're going to do. Yeah,
exactly. And as you can see here, they've got like about eight to 10 games all across here. So they've got a range of their own sort of games. So that's what you want to see. You can obviously implement it potentially on maybe other consoles. So that's pretty big. So yeah, I've been a follower of this project for a very long time, and I'm quite bullish on them. But that's Vulcan Forge. So again, you want to dive a little bit deeper. I actually picked up some Cetify the other day. It dipped quite hard. And obviously you can stake it on the platform to get new tokens and get more access. Let me just share the screen again because it rugged me. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, so yeah, I picked up some Cetify the other day because again, I like to zoom out. Obviously, price action is quite slow, but if we have a look at where we currently are, we're seeing a very nice pullback. Again, you're hitting that sort of 20 to 30% range of a pullback, so that's really good. If you stake your funds on there, you can obviously get access to some early games. And again, we're only at $3, and the price, the all-time high is at 16, so it's still 5x. So that's what I mean. Like the upside on some of these tokens is just a bit better compared to some of those ones up the top. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still very bullish on like IMAX and Beam and stuff, but yeah, they're more of a safer play. Yeah. So I think I just might need to close a couple of tabs here. Just because I might be a bit laggy. All right. Okay. Let's keep diving deep. So if we have a look here, guys, this is where you start to come down. I've definitely got exposure to Wilder Worlds. Craig, can I just check? Am I a bit laggy for you? Am I all right now?
No, I think you're all right, man.
Okay, cool. Right. Thank you. Yeah, so too easy, guys. So Wild World's one that I've got exposure to. I've looked at it in previous videos on YouTube. I've suggested it on my timeline before. It's one that sort of hits that marketplace. It's more of a game sort of on that metaverse narrative, but the graphics are really cool, kind of hitting that GTA sort of vibe and car racing, that sort of stuff. Star Atlas ecosystem is always one that I've had an eye on. Obviously haven't got exposure there. Mirror is one that I've heard a lot of chat about, but it hasn't moved in much price action at all. Shrapnel, I think that's actually not the actual Shrapnel on AVAX, so I think you just need to be careful because there are some other tokens
that almost caught me out as well.
Yeah, so you need to be careful always, guys. Veracity is one that was around last cycle, starting to trend up a little bit. It's around that advertisement thing, but as you can see here, there's only 10% of tokens are unlocked, so that's a bit of a worry for me because there's things like that. As we really dive down here, Altura is one that I made a lot of money on last cycle, but again, it's still at 40 mil. There hasn't been much chat about what's happening there. There's Eternity here as well, or Eternity, sorry. I made some bags on that last cycle, so it'd be good to see some of these. Wagme Games is another one, but it's trending just down. So there are some there's player bull games there. So again, if you dive deeper, you find that the tokens are locked up for good reasons, then this could run hot in the coming months. Sol, I was trading that last cycle. So these are the ones that you like to look into and see if there's any potential actual plays down here. But we are sort of hitting that degenerate sort of space down at the 10 million sort of range. But again, there's opportunity everywhere. You just got to find it.
It's actually a good way, what you're showing people now, a good way of going through the list and just slowly working your way through the market before you hear people like us talk about it. This is where you can go to find it. And ideally, if you can find these before, you talk about it, or, an Alex Becker or Elio Trades or whatever, by the time they found it, sometimes, I won't say you're late there by any means, but if you can find it prior to them opening their mouth, your cop X is just off them. So good way to go through it.
Yeah, so again, and like I then start to look in comparison to the 24 hours, 7 days, see what's pumping. And because like this is pumped 2x, but it's only at 1.5 million. So is this pumping because it actually has a good product, or is it pumping because someone's just called it out this last week or so? So this is where I then start to look. It's obviously on Binance Smart Chain, which is, in my opinion, maybe not the best chain to be on at the moment this cycle, but it doesn't mean that it still can't potentially run a bit hot. I'm going to shout out one of my members, but Sexy, thanks for being here, bro. But TrueFi is one that we're looking at, so let's have a look at TrueFi. Is that a game, Sexy? Give me a bit of further research. Let's see. So TrueFi, let's have a look. Pull it up on the screen now. Still for, but not game. Yeah, so not gaming. Okay, cool. But that's, so again, it doesn't necessarily have to be gaming, guys, but you can do this for every sort of token, right? And it could be DeFi, it could be a Solana narrative, it could be whatever narrative that you're looking at, it could be real world assets narratives, so hitting those sort of physical properties sort of thing and that sort of thing. So if we have a look here, fully diluted is 89. Most of the supply is out, so that's always good to see. Seeing a lot of action, obviously, in the past week. Let's have a look. It has been trending up really nicely past year. Yeah, trending up very nicely. Obviously, all-time high is quite low, so it was only released early this year. So that's always good because it's a new token that you can
Yeah.
check out. Doesn't have history, so it means that its upside is a lot higher because it hasn't had that exposure. So again, if we just look at the socials, so we'll go to Twitter. And so it's got 82K followers. Okay, DeFi's leading capital markets, so I assumed it was. Yeah, real world credit. There you go. So shout out to you, Sexy, for sharing that. But that's it, guys. Like, if you can follow the right narratives, like you can find tokens that are like sub 100 mil and run to 10 to 1 bill easy. So those are definitely ones that you could check out. So okay, yeah. So if I have a quick look on their socials. Yeah, so they got some funds, treasury pools. Their engagement's not too bad. You always want to see that, but you want to see some comments as well to show me that the engagement's not just promoted. Comments show sort of authenticity in the space. There you go. So that was shared about a month ago, 6K views. So that's good to see. Yeah, so this is definitely one I'll do a bit of research in. So thanks for sharing that, Sexy, but I appreciate it. All right, let's sort of swing a little bit. Frogana's nice for it 10. No, I'm not touching Frogana's.
Come on,
No,
Greedy.
look at this. No,
Bring your liquidity with you, man. No, I sold mine already. I sold it at about 12.
Hey,
12
yeah,
stocks.
shout out to Craig, guys. I was away on Christmas, doing some stuff, and I missed the whole pump. Craig, what'd you get in at 3, 4? Sold?
3.5 when I
Yeah.
called it, I think.
Yeah.
But it was, it looked right. It was the right time. It was Christmas, and I noticed around this time of year, it's stranger things tend to pump rather than the things I'm heavily into. So I was sort of waiting for an NFT play to come out of nowhere, which everyone tries to get behind and chill. And so that came out. Although I must say the art was nice. The fact it was on Sol was nice as well. So I like the fact it was on there. The art looked great. It was kind of a nice story that, the project rugged and then the artist came and saved it. And the only concern for me, I sold it on the 3X, so the only concern for me was how long the community will keep the narrative up to keep it pumping, considering there's not a team behind it like, say, Yuga or Mad Lads, which can offer ongoing rewards for holders versus, holding art's great, but make sure you love the art, I guess, because is the art as good? Is the art good at when it's worth, say, $1 versus $5,000? Do you still like it when it's $1, right?
Yeah.
No, that was a nice one to ride. Those frogs, they were great. I saw a lot of. I think what was great about it is it brought a whole lot of ETH people to Sol.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe the amount of Bored Apes that were shilling the absolute shit out of it. I thought I'd hit gold because I shilled it. And then I copped some and I waited and I saw them just FOMOing in, and there's nothing better than front running that sort of movement. So they did all the hard work for me. I just sat back and said, thanks.
Exactly. I love that, bro. I love it. And honestly, that was a bearish indicator for me. So you sharing it early, that's obviously bullish. And then if you see other people sharing it later in the timeline, and like you say, the apes. Now, I think where I come from, we've been around a long time in the space. So if you start to see apes and apes and apes shilling something, they are dominating that supply, right? So that's super bearish for me.
Yeah,
and that's where
10, 20, 30, 40.
100%. And so like my biggest thing was that they probably missed out on Mad Lads. They probably missed out on Badogos. They probably missed out on a lot of different things. So they wanted to get in. And so they're chasing the liquidity on Solana to try and make some bags. I just hope that the money made in Fraganas does trickle down into the ecosystem of Solana NFTs. We will look into NFTs. We'll look into meme coins in a minute. Just a reminder, guys, if you're new here, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Craig's YouTube channel is also mentioned in the description if you're here, so please follow him as well. And obviously, if you're watching on X, click follow for both of us. We share daily content around crypto and Web3, so we're doing our best to educate the world around how you can be safe and also make some gains in Web3. So please support us by smashing the like button. If you are on both platforms, you can smash the like button on Twitter as well as YouTube. So thanks for being here. We really do appreciate it. Just to show you sort of the sentiment that I like to go for. I like to always try out a lot of polls. For me, polls on Twitter are very interesting because it gives you insight to community, gives you insight into your audience, and gives you insight into sort of where narratives are playing, what people are doing, because that's often a really good sign about where market sentiment is. And again, like you said earlier, Craig, we both like to trade on sentiment because it's an important part of markets, really. But yeah, so I saw here that Fragana's at 14 sol. Is this a good buy? And literally 68% of people said no. So that's with 200 votes. So yeah, that was again, and that sort of backed up my sort of thinking around not a good play at the moment. So that's where I was going with that conversation. But so Bonk has started to move. We'll look at Bonk in a minute, Sexy. But if we have a look here, guys, this is obviously Deck Screener. Let me just refresh it to make sure it's up to date. As you can see here, we're starting to see some price action. Still, look what's dominating the top 10 tokens in terms of memes. It's Solana, guys. So you want to be in there. I'm pretty sure we saw some really nice dips. So if we just dive into some of the top ones, this is with oh man, I missed this trade. Shouldn't be on stream. Nice, so there you go, guys. So as you can see here, WIF is starting to break out from a long-term accumulation. You could probably catch it still, like obviously being at 190, it hasn't moved up too much, only 20%. So again, I shared this on a previous live stream, but like what I want to see is some volume candles kicking down the bottom here. That's what I look for when you have this breakout up here. So that WIF could be a trade there if anyone's here. That could be a good trade right now. I will come up the top. Then I start to look across the volume and what's trending at the top. I'm sure, Craig, you do sort of same sort of thing. So yeah, look at this, guys. Like pump and dumps. Obviously, I have heard a lot of chat in several group chats and in my chat as well that there's a lot of sellers at the moment in Solana memes. I'm not sure if there's much liquidity here. I think maybe the bigger bag holders are maybe on holidays because they've taken some profits. But there's a lot of people like sort of getting out early. So this hit 1.6. So what's this? Milady's on sold. So that's I have to do a bit of research in that, and check the contract. But yeah, Milady's on sold. That pumped. Like if you call that dip, that's a 10x. But it's pulling back down here. So would love to see this hold. If you are wanting to trade this for another swing trade up, but it likely sort of breaks down. You can see that we're starting to see some big pressure here, and here down the bottom. In terms of that, again, I like to scroll through the trending tokens. So this is, again, one that just pumped and dumped. Solana's seeing a lot of that at the moment. There's not a lot of follow through. So this is better call Sol, lol. And then, again, like you can see, guys, it's just getting there and just having no healthy sort of structure. So this one's probably the healthiest that we're seeing. I think someone shared it just here, Bork. Yeah, so shout out to you, Spiritual Warriors, for Bork. But you have a look here. It's still quite... So again, I'd have to do research into whether this is like got utility or not, or whether this is just a meme. But that's a lot of market structure there. So... I always say though, as it starts to pump up to levels like this, it always does trend back down to levels like this. So be careful. Make sure you take some profits off the table if you did get in nice and early. Obviously, it's pumped up quite a lot already. Yeah, so it's over 20x. So plenty of money to be made if you're getting in early to these sort of tokens. It's just I'm just seeing a lot of sellers at the moment, Craig. I'm not sure what you're thinking.
I was just about to say to you, I haven't really been trading meme coins this last sort of week. They just don't, for me, unless you get in really early, they're not very forgiving, are they?
No.
And once they dump, which they dump, well, you can see on the charts, they sort of dump about 90%.
Yeah.
You don't always see a recovery. There's no signs of strength. So it's like what you sort of commented on. It looks like people are basically pump and dumps, people making a bit of money, and then they're moving on very quickly, quicker than I'd like. So I've kind of been avoiding it. I've just, like I said, unless you get in super early, the risk versus reward's just not there for me at the moment. And I suppose with Christmas and that, maybe everyone's kind of the same. So if I can't have my eye on it all the time, I try not to be in the market too much. So I've been concentrating on my alts. Also from the point of view, alts in such a good position at the moment, market structure wise, that I'd rather play with safer bets. If the games are there to bet on, that I can get good wins, safe wins. Good to hear that Bonk is pumping. My Solana phone arrives today.
Oh, so, there you go. So you might be able to dump your money straight.
Yeah. So everybody, please buy some Bonk, man, so I can dump mine. But mine should arrive in the next 3-4 hours. So that'll be cool. I've been waiting a couple of weeks for that. So
we'll
probably talk about it on the show next week if we chat. And say what I think about the phone. Hopefully the phone's half decent, but yeah, that's exciting. So good to see Bonk making a move.
Yeah, no, and that's what I said. I think I put a tweet out maybe a couple of days ago that I would love to see it bounce around that 1.2, $1.3 billion range. And it looks like it has, as Sexy said. So would love to see this either, like, obviously I'd want to see volume kick in and this trend upwards. But as you can see here, the green candle there is bullish, but again, we're on the daily, so I love to see it sort of consolidate here and then continue higher again. For you to dump your tokens, Craig, in the next week or so. So that's
Why
what
New Year's, guys, would be great if you could dump it. New Year's Eve, please.
I reckon, eh? So
I'm just sit on that a bit longer, I think.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's probably a good play. Honestly, like if you think about narratives, like being the premier meme coin on Solana, I think that's probably not a bad bet to have.
And like the looking at that chart you just pulled up, I think waiting's the play there.
Yeah, for sure. Like there's still a lot of upside for this, particularly like that's a 2x to its all-time high. Like that's pretty crazy. So yeah, I definitely think it's one that you maybe want to just have a little exposure to across different memes. Again, I same as you, Craig. Like we're still seeing plenty of volume here. So we look here, yeah, there's still about 20, over 30 mil of volume here, but I am still a bit like you said that there's just not a lot of like buyers taking it to those next levels. Obviously, Coquino on AVAX is really bleeding as well. Man, so
didn't it?
Yeah, and then if we come across to ETH, guys, there's just not a lot of stuff happening. Like some of the older tokens are sort of like, again, a lot of bleeding. Like, oh, that's on the 5 minute, but again, a lot of bleeding. Like Mubi has been ones that's been around for a while. So yeah, I think there's like as you shift, like you need to shift with the market, and I think a lot of people get stuck. Like I know some people in my group were like asking me yesterday, like, oh, anyone like, are we trading any Soul meme coins? Are we trading any meme coins? So I'm like, you need to understand that, like, I trade the liquidity. Right? Yeah, exactly. You don't want to trade a trade that's not there because of something that was there a week or two ago, because crypto changes very quick. And I think it's so important that you just stick with wherever the money does go. And at the moment, I think, like you said, Craig, obviously people are away. Altcoins are starting to come on sale. I think that it's often nearly better because you just add to your spot bags, and then your spot bags are easily going to return more than chasing a few meme coins every now and then. So there's a few more. Like, let's have a look. We've got Cyan. Let's have a look. If
I've seen it a bit on my timeline lately.
Maybe
is it a play on? Is it Cyan? Is it Dragon Ball Z? Is it Cyan or Cyan? Or am I completely off the mark with that one?
No, I think you might be right. I'm just trying to find. Let's see if we can. Here we go. So I pulled it up. I was going to pull it up on Coin Hall. So for sure. Okay, let's bring that back up now. So this is it here, guys. On Say, yeah. So it's moving up a little bit. That's on the hourly. So that's it. That's exactly where we're going with. So shout out to you, Generative, for being here, mate. And that's it, guys. Like, as you can see, there's liquidity on other blockchains, and that's where you really want to be looking. Okay, so say
that looks a lot nicer, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Like you've got a healthy retrace there that's sort of pulled back a little bit, and now it's breaking up higher. So again, it's broken that structure there. So yeah, it's good to see some other tokens moving on other blockchains. Say is starting to see some action across different ones. So that's obviously the top one there. So again, I'd have to do further research into what the token's actually doing. But as you can see, guys, we're seeing some price action across different blockchains, which is what you want to see in a bullish exposure. So high beta exposure to Say. Okay, yeah, cool. Sheep on Solana. I'm getting shilled some things now in the chat. So yeah, right, we might have a look at that later. And if not, I thought we might just quickly dive over to the NFT side across ETH and Sol. We have a look here, guys. This is obviously, look, whoever shared this earlier, look, Fraganas are actually breaking out.
They are the dirty dogs, huh?
So we have a look here. Yeah, you could probably say it is breaking out. You'd love to see it continue higher. Someone said the bid wall. So there is a little bit of a bid wall. It's a bit, but again, it's all holding above 11 Sol. So there's enough of a bids there to hold it higher. 0% fees. This is on Sniper, guys. So I'm a big advocate for Sniper. They have a potential airdrop coming soon. So listings, what else? What did the listings have on the chart? Let's have a look again. So listings sorted, floating sideways, which is always okay. Is there much activity? Let's have a look. So activity, minutes. Yeah, so there's a bit of price action there. Could be a good swing trade, that's for sure. You can pump these up. Like if I have a look at the target, Yeah, I'd probably be looking to get out around that 15 to 17 mark potentially if it's moving up. So that's still like if you were to get in now, like that's more of a risky trade because you want to trade the breakout, right? So we have a look at this chart. Sorry, it should make it a little bit nicer for you. But you want to trade the breakout, guys. Has it broke? Yeah, it actually bounced off that too. So that would have been the buy there
Yeah,
down here at 7.5.
7.
But like if you bought that dip there, guys, you're already up at 2x nearly. So you need to be careful with these sort of things because that's what you're looking at. But yeah, look, I got nothing against it. I just what we were talking about earlier, Craig. When I see apes shilling something, I don't want a part of that.
Yeah. I'm somewhat the same. Like I said, if they are doing that, you want to be in as they're getting in versus say they come in because they accumulate big bags often. So you're going to come across guys with 10, 20, 30 of them. And, once they're up at 2x, that's quite a significant amount of money considering the amount they hold versus, say, someone like me or you, which may hold 1 or 3. We might hold a bit longer because we're chasing that bigger gain. And that's where you get wrecked because you've got guys with big bags that can afford to put in, 20 grand and just take a 2x and make 20 grand, which is a great trade. And a lot less risk actually than someone like me trying to make 1 grand, but I've got to wait for 3x to hit it.
Yeah.
So that would be my worry with that collection. But to be honest, I'd like nothing more than that to full send. You know what I mean? It's just going to bring hype to Solana anyway. So I don't. I hope for the holders that it sends. And to be honest, it's quite cool to see it bounce there. So that's positive signs for the actual community. And when I was sort of in there at the start, they were forming it was quite unusual. They're forming communities really quickly, which doesn't always happen with NFTs. So normally in my experience, if that happens, and I'm talking about like, certain skins, they've got their own chats. So trait chats, which the last time I saw that happen heavily was Nakamigos. That. So whether this can do something like that, I don't know. But the fact it's on Sol, I think is really cool. So it's cool to see a whole bunch of ETH NFT traders come over to Sol. I hadn't seen it happen in a huge way yet, but I would say seeing that amount of apes and mutants come in, I was like, wow, okay. So positive signs just for the space in general.
I agree.
I'm going to keep out of that trade though.
Yeah, no, and same. I think I'll avoid that trade. Obviously, like I said before, the trade would have been to get in at sub 10, I think, for a swing trade. But interestingly, here are some stats just around Solana NFTs. Obviously, we're trending up for a long period of time, but as we sort of peaked around Christmas, doesn't show me the dates yet. So we peaked around Christmas, and we've been cooling off for the last week or so. So there are some really good price action, but as you can see here, a lot more people are dumping at the moment than buying. So we are starting to see some really good levels for some top collections, like Mad Lads at 150 Sol. That screams opportunity for me. Tensorians at 95, also very good opportunity in my opinion. We come down a little bit deep, but Claynosaurus, like under 40 is a steal in my opinion. Obviously, there's plenty of other things like this. This is a the Homeowners Association one. We would trade that. I think we swing traded it from 3 Sol to 10 Sol only a month ago. But they have rumors of an airdrop and rumors of a actual genuine sort of utility in their project. So that's definitely one. SMB, goodness gracious me. They ran up to like 160 Sol or something. So we're starting to see some really good price action. Badoggo's back above 9 now. So we have a look here. No, so they're below 9. So again, we're starting to see some interesting price action with some of these top collections on. So if you see that, that's a real, like, this is where if you're happy to lock up your bags for a period of time, guys, like you can easily. It is like look at that chart, like that's bouncing very nicely. This is on a 4-hour chart, so that's across a couple of weeks. So again, if you are happy to lock up some liquidity for a period of time, you can definitely start to see some nice price action across different blockchains in NFTs. So if we come over to ETH side of things, again, we spoke about this last week and a couple of weeks before, but we're seeing some real dodgy sort of rubbish pump, like Urban Punk Official, Geogirl, like. That shows me that people are trying to make money on ETH still, but there's just not much happening over there. And Utes, there's a lot of rumors that Utes and DGods are going to go back to Solana. So
unreal, right?
What the
hell?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think like there's all that chat around how Frank he's a big developer around sort of actual use cases. So he wants to build something for people to use and that sort of things. And I think he's just maybe potentially lost a bit of interest in terms of the NFT projects. Hence he asked for a couple of new people, the presidents, to come out and sort of be in charge of their projects, but then he's like, oh, there's a lot of FUD that he wants to leave. Like, I think it like they have so much good potentials. I love a Ute. Like, I've always loved the art of a Ute. I think they're super dope. It's just I don't want to buy one, because you just don't know what's going to happen over there. Again, Pudgies. I still remain convicted that Pudgies under 10 guys, I think, is a steal. If you have that liquidity and you can obviously get in there. Obviously the backup sort of one to that would be to pick up a little Pudgy. Where are they? There they are. A little Pudgy, and I think a little Pudgy, if you can get it below 0.9, so they're at 0.9 now. So if you can accumulate a couple for them between that sort of 0.75 to 0.9 region, I think that's an easy sort of 2x in the next couple of months. I think.
I agree. I think they'll have their pump soon. I sort of feel Pudgies, as far as an Ethereum NFT, they're the one I think could send.
I might sweep 3 of these later, actually. You're hearing these here first, guys, at 0.89. I might throw in a few bids. Like, I'm obviously farming Blur. That's actually, Craig, we'll talk about that as well. I don't know if I have my wallet connected to this one, but I'll pull that up as a potential tab. But I like to throw bids in there, guys. Craig, have you got the previous Blur airdrops at all?
I only the first, but not the farming type one. But the first one was actually not too bad for me. But I wasn't active as in regards to bids and things. So I should have. That was my dog's barking me to let him out. I'm just gonna let him out, Rennie. Sorry.
You're right, man. Yeah, no. So yeah, it's interesting that Craig says that, guys, because I copped both the 2 previous airdrops. They weren't large. I think my first one was like $200, and then my most recent one was a little bit larger. Like I got like. Do some quick math. I think I got like $800. So like altogether, I've farmed about $1,000 of Blur tokens. But interestingly, a lot of people have been using Blast as that layer 2. And shout out to Pac-Man. I think they passed over $1 billion locked up. I'm pretty sure the Nifty Morning Show was saying that. So, but the easy play for me was to just hold my Blur airdrop from number 2 and just stake it here, guys. Like, look at it. Like, I'm at a holder score of 4 million. So this is a set and forget, and that's what you love about crypto is if you can just lock this up for a period of time. So when this hits about April or May, I might sort of maybe take out a bit of my bag to protect my capital, and then just hopefully get a good enough airdrop. Obviously this is only half of what you're going to get. Obviously if you're on Blast, you can trade a little bit more there to also farm, but this is definitely an underrated sort of play at the moment, I reckon. And that's why I've been accumulating. I just put in 0.25 ETH into this right when it started. My multiplier is pretty much as high as you can have it for this day. So I think it's not a bad play as we move into a oh goodness, I wrote myself again. All right, there we go.
Yeah, it could be a nice play coming into, well, not coming into, but in a bull run, something like that. And like you said, set and forgets are quite nice because you obviously have that ticking away, and then you have your daily trades, your weekly trades, your spot bags, your futures. It's just another, I guess, for lack of a better word, revenue stream. Yeah.
Yeah, so the frogs are ripping. Yeah, I told you they're going to break out, mate. Like that chart was looking nice. But again, like you can come and still farm bids. You can get lending bids. I'm not much of a lender. I don't like to do that sort of shit. But you can farm bids. You can farm listing points that are obviously undisclosed. And then if you have that loyalty, you get that extra bonus. So I think underratedly, this is a good airdrop to, again, just have exposure to. So I might throw out a few bids on little Pudgies later today if they, keep sticking. Like it looks like I'll have to find a better chart, but 85, 87. Yeah, so it looks like 0.85 might be the sort of bounce region that you want. Obviously, if they break that, they'll go lower. But I think anything under 0.85 is a great longer-term play for a little Pudgy. So that's definitely one that I'm looking at. The only other one I am considering is a version 1 pump. However, what worries me about this is that you are locking up basically 4 ETH of liquidity for nothing. But however, like it depends what you're doing. Like obviously with us at the moment, we haven't really been trading meme coins on ETH. So I've kind of just had a bag of ETH just sitting there. It's not being staked. It's not doing anything. So I might as well maybe throw a bit of liquidity here. The question you ask yourself is, is a floor V1 punk in like terms of price action going to outperform Ethereum in maybe 6 to 9 months?
Yeah.
It's like, I think they could run pretty hard. It's just, do they run harder, or does ETH sort of outperform that still? That's the question that I don't like to do.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. That's a
Yeah.
tricky one.
Yeah.
Yeah. A bit of other news. Did you see? I mean, actually, it is confirmed. I think the founder confirmed it today that Killer Bears Killer Cubs is going to take Killer Cubs to Solana.
No way. Or the whole collection?
Just the Cubs at the moment.
Just the Cubs. So if we have a look at price action, I know you've been a big fan of them. Like they're setting higher lows. So that's 0.52. That's 0.7. So this is on the actual 0.78. So yeah, 0.8. So yeah, it's good to see the Bears. Like I'm a big fan of that project. I'm a big fan of. I have a few followers that have been talking to me about them for a long period of time. So Craig, what sort of time frame are we seeing for the Cubs?
Q1 next year. They'll migrate, I believe.
Okay, that might be a rug, that one.
I don't think you can get to Killer Cubs on Blur.
Okay, all right. Let's have a look if I can pull it up on OpenSea. Killer Cub, OpenSea.
Yeah, so they the announcement came out, or the teaser, and they ran from 0.05 to 0.09, and they've retraced to about 0.07 again now. I think, I mean, my sort of speculation, but from talking to the founder a little bit, Solana, I think, their background is mobile gaming. So I think they're gonna look at the play to earn market, and I think Solana was just less friction, less fees, allows for gamification a lot easier. And I know the founder's been dying to bring that part of their ecosystem forward. I also saw they were filming a couple of weeks ago. He was overseas filming what looked like full Killer Bears. So there's been teasers of a new video coming out, teasers of a game. They released a video on YouTube with one rigged up for gaming. So they're heavily teasing now. So that's one, if you wanted to, have a bit of an NFT gamble. I mean, I am shilling my bags here, but I've got Cubs. I've swept a few. I think these could send. Bear in mind, these here that you see on the screen, you can customize them yourself. So they don't have to be set in stone. So even if they're ugly, like a few of these bad boys are, you can still redress them up. You can pick your background color and all that sort of stuff. But I just like the fact I'm bullish on them more for the team. What they're trying to do, and they're consistent and they do quality. So they've done, is it pickleball you call it in the States?
Yeah.
They've got pickleball rackets now. They're looking. I think they're going the sort of the pudgy route.
Mm-hmm.
They're going the pudgy route. So toys, plushies. Interesting enough, they're in weed as well. So they've just released their pre-rolls and all that. So kind of an interesting, going for the kid market, but then going there as well.
But hey, like that brings in revenue in different ways too. So that's always good.
So hey, look, I don't know. We'll see how this goes. It'll be interesting to see how the community react to them going to Solana. I know from being in the Discord, there was, a few people really excited. Obviously, the people that have never used Solana were freaking out. Which was quite interesting for me. It's funny, you sort of forget how little some people know. I don't mean that in an unkind way. I just mean some people haven't dabbled anywhere other than Ethereum, which for me was mind blowing. But here we are. So they were freaking out. How do you? What wallet do you use?
And honestly, though, if just wait till they get on Phantom Wallet and they see how good Phantom Wallet is. It's compared to MetaMask, it's insane. Hey, and so a couple of questions then. So, why would you go for the Cub rather than a Bear?
Well, from my understanding at the moment, the Cubs are the ones going. They're the ones that announced as going to Solana, not the Bears. So I'm not certain Bears will go there. I'm trying to. I speak to the founder Ben a lot. And it's a funny relationship because I'm always trying to get a little bit of something out of him. And he's always obviously trying to oblige, but he's very discreet, I must say. He's one of the
Oh, you have to be, yeah.
I can get almost nothing out of him. He won't jeopardize his brand, which, to be honest, is a bullish thing in itself.
Yeah.
Because talking to a lot of founders, that he's one of the ones that won't leak something to me to pump his bags.
Yeah.
So he just wants to work. So yeah. I'll put money behind him. So for me, Cubs are what I'd get into. Also, just for people that have got a little bit of Christmas money and don't want to put it 1 ETH into a bear.
Yeah.
Cubs 120 US. If you want to put a bit of money into an NFT at the moment, where you can kind of what you said before, you can park your ETH. Yeah. I think once they migrate and people fully understand what they're going to do, I think these are going to send.
So my follow-up question to that is, do you just buy the ETH one here and it gets translated to sent to bridge to Solana, or how's that process?
I haven't said.
Yeah.
But I assume so. So I'm sort of trying to front run anything. So admittedly, I'm in a good position. I got in at 0.05.
Yeah.
So I guess for people listening now, I'm not saying definitely go and buy it. You could wait to see if it cools off even more, because obviously the announcement came and people get bored. And as everyone knows, in NFT markets, give it 3 days and things can go right back. Yeah. But could be a nice little play there, and just a bit different. You know what I mean? It's different. The team's quality, the announcement's going to be good. And I know whatever they do it well. Yeah. So it's sort of just, you've got to be patient, I suppose. But Q1's not far.
Yeah. And it's literally 2 days away or 3 days away. That's probably a good lesson here too, guys, is that you can just throw a ETH offer in and and you can cop one for 0.565 if you put a 0.565 in there. So
really good.
Yeah, that's probably my suggestion if you want something exposure to that. So definitely check out the Killer Bear ecosystem on Twitter. They're a big, I love some of the shout out to Kimberly. She's a legend. She's commenting. Yeah, she's commenting on both of our stuff for months and months. So she's a great chick.
Girl.
So
she's been active at Web3 for a long time. I've been in the Discord for Killer Bears, and she's been there for at least a year and a half. Just one of those people that's in Web3 for the right reasons and loves the space. So I'm a big fan of hers. I see someone who's asking if mutants will get back to 20 ETH.
I've got a few comments we'll go through, and also shout out to Rainbow King too. He actually he basically, way back when Killer Bears sort of took off, he sat down and he wrote out all of this stuff for me. I never actually copped a Killer Bear because I knew I was probably a little bit too late. But he spent a lot of time and was happy to shill me just any details, any questions. So that's another big bear that I have followed for a long period of time. If we have a look at something else, so shout out to Danfi for being here, but he asked, what about Helium Network tokens? So if I have a look at Helium, guys, obviously with the Saga phone, Helium's a big one for the mobile industry in the US, so it definitely could be a good play. They have a lot of good utility, still a lot of potential upside with their token up to 50, so that's just about a sort of 8 to 9 returns there if it does hit its all-time high. So definitely one to check out if you are in that side of the world. If I keep looking through, I'll just go back a little bit more just to check the comments. Yeah, guys, so thanks all for being here again. Again, if you're new here, please subscribe, smash the follow button for both of us on X, but also on YouTube. We really do appreciate it, and hit that like button so you can support the algo supporting us. Scared money, mate. I make a lot of degen returns all the time, so I just didn't I know where a good trade is, bro. And the trade there, I missed the breakout on the Fraganas, so I definitely.
If you miss it, you've got to learn to chill. I've been wrecked too many times, many times.
Experience, but also emotions, and so many people trade on emotions. They bag hold because they love their mutant. Shout out to you, bro. I know you're a big fan of your mutant, and I think your mutant is dope. Actually, if I look at it, not gonna lie, but I just think I'm a liquidity trader. I'm a volume trader. I'm someone that trades where the money goes, and for me, that is definitely somewhere if I had the option to either hold a mutant or to hold a Pudgy a couple months ago, I'm picking a Pudgy every single day of the week, and it's gone up 3x, and that's why you need to I know people again, if you have enough money to hold a mutant longer term, go for it. That's a good play.
And if that's your digital identity, I suppose, and what you're trying to, that's your forward-facing brand. Absolutely, I'd be happy with the mutant. But if it's not your business card and you want to make money with them, you may get stuck for a bit. But in saying that, mutants might have their time. I don't know. it depends a lot on Yuga now, and Yuga seems to be moving quite slowly. As
Yes.
understandably, they're trying to build something massive.
Yeah.
So I'm myself, and this could be the wrong move. I'm just going to wait and see what Yuga do.
Yeah, I think there's just better plays. And then like we've touched on a few of them already. But if I show you my screen, oops. There we go. So mutants are here. Like they still see the top collection on Blur. So obviously people are farming them every single day. People are trading them every single day. But again, like they haven't really moved up from like they were trending at 5 ETH like a couple of weeks ago, and they're still just sitting above there. So like you could swing trade them, and like don't get me wrong, there's 950 listed. Like supply, like owners are still at 60%, and they've still got plenty of volume. And again, like Craig said, guys, I think there's better players, but also I think you just got to wait to see what happens with Yuga. I think Yuga's narrative was definitely last cycle. I think if you got in early, I remember seeing a mutant at 3 ETH. I was priced out at 3 ETH. Even then, I think like that was when ETH was like, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 US. So that's quite a lot of money. It was like 20 grand. And I was like, oh, I can't cop that. And then they ran to like 45, and I was like, oh my god, that's kind of life changing money. Like if you copped one or two of them. So I do know that there's money to be made, but I think in the same sort of narrative of that, what happened last cycle, I think Pudgies is probably what I'd be putting my bets in terms of ETH, and then Mad Lads is probably where I put my faith in Solana in the same sort of narrative. And like Mad Lads, their floor is up. Oh, I haven't done the math for a few days. Like if we're at 150 Sol, so they have pulled back. Oh man, this is like Sol's at what 100 and. So Sol's at 100 and the floor of a Mad Lad is at 150. Guys, like 15K, like US, like I know that's a lot of money for a lot of people, but like Mad Lads, they're at above 20K just a few days ago. So that's a big retracement. That's 25%. And like we just said with tokens, I like to do the same thing with NFTs and stuff. If you have a conviction play and you see something pull back quite a lot, I think it's not a bad play.
Yeah,
so
if
maybe
you top 30%, you'd be pretty happy, I think, on that. That'd be
and
juicy.
even if you swing trade a Mad Lab back from 150 Sol to 200 Sol, that's 50 Sol. You've just made like $5,000 US. So like that's a lot of money quickly. Because they can sort of take over. So, maybe I'll pick up another Mad Lad. Oh, I don't know. I'll think about it.
They are quite cool, aren't they? They're cool, and they look quite cool.
And you can stake it like so. At the moment, like there's nothing confirmed at the moment around what the staking entails, but they've airdropped. I'm lagging a little bit. Let me just close a couple tabs. All right, there we go. We're back. Okay, so there's nothing like lagging. There's nothing sort of being suggested yet at the moment around what the actual sort of product is of the staking. But just to show you, this is what mine looks like. So if I pull up my Phantom wallet, this is what it looks like. So this is my little Mad Lad here on the screen. If it wants to show, no, it's not going to show me. Damn it. Okay, all good. Anyways, I have a Mad Lad. It's great. I've been staking it for probably a couple of weeks now, maybe even a month or so now. So it's undisclosed sort of what the staking means, and I think that's really bullish because because they just have such good sort of utility around not only their airdrops but also their connections in the space. They're building that backpack exchange. Like there's just so much good stuff there that I think you got to hold, or you want to exposure to something like that for this cycle.
Yeah,
so
that was a good pickup. What did you end up copping one for? What was your entry?
So I obviously I can't remember in US at the time of point it was 83 Sol, and I think Sol was quite low, but it was like 8,000 Australian at the time. So if I was to do some quick math,
so you've 2x'd even at this retracement level. So
I think it's probably even more. So 150
because of the Sol value. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Could be a 3, could be more.
Yeah, it's just shy of a 3x so far.
That's nice, you might as well just sit back for those drops now, man. You've probably got the whole bull run to milk that.
Yeah, and that's the play. It's the trickiest thing for us, and I know we spoke about this last week. Is when do you take profits, and that's probably the hardest. That's the hardest thing, and like what price there would force your hand to sell? I think 50 US. 50K US is probably a good touch base point for taking a bit of profit because that's a lot of Solana too that you probably sell, and then probably taking that's off the side. Yeah, so Sexy's saying all the potential coin drops and connections. Dude, I agree. So like Oh, you're making me want to pick up another one. But then that's a lot of money locked up into
That's the
NFTs.
only problem for me is the amount of liquidity I'd have to put there versus being able to spread it around over, say, 3 to 5 alts.
Yeah.
Or 3 alts, a bit heavier. But it's certainly sometimes NFTs, there's going to be an NFT this bull run that's going to print money, right? Yeah. I just think that there will be one.
Yeah.
And for me, Mad Lads is looking like it's going to be that one. It looks like the shining star for me. It's good team. The art's nice. I think the art suits just about everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not too like...
They've got female characters in their collection too, so that's bullish as well.
The color palette's nice. I like it from an art point of view, but certainly I'd cop it for the drops, and I think that's going to be the one that ends up making you a lot of money, man. But we'll see. I agree with Sexy there. Mad Lads and the Solana phone. I agree. The Solana phone, as everyone knows, is listening right now. I see it tap 5K.
Yeah.
It's sold for 5K US, which is absolutely stupid. Or maybe not. Who knows? But, geez, I don't know if I'd have the balls to cop one for 5K hoping for airdrops. But
no chance. Yeah.
That's going to be a few airdrops, eh? So, hey, hopefully they're right, because if that person's right who bought that, I'm looking good. But, that's a ballsy bet, 5K.
Yeah. No, and just shout out to... I didn't even Shalafi, let's call you. Touching a mute, I'm bagging a couple of Mad. Yeah, so like that's the play, bro. If you want to have exposure to those, and your bag, I've got Clano. I picked up a Saga the other day at 17. They're actually down at 14 sold at the moment. So like again, that's a no brainer in my opinion for something short term, but also medium term as well. So oh, look at this. Like, bro, currently with 10 sold, what should I trade airdrop, bro? I won't ever give you financial advice. This is all education purposes. You do what you want to do with your money. And probably a lesson in that, and probably a conversation we might have touched on last week too, is that your portfolio management is so important. And I know for a fact, at the time that I bought my Mad Lad, it was about 25% of my whole portfolio, and I knew I'd spent hours researching. I spent hours in sentiment, and I pulled the trigger because I knew what mutants and apes did last cycle, and I knew the Solana narrative was huge. So I was like, okay, at 25%, I think it's a good bet, and sure enough, it has been a good bet. And luckily, I've made money elsewhere from meme coins and stuff to sort of make sure that percentage isn't too high anymore. Yeah. And so that's probably a good lesson here is that if you're coming in and you only have 10 sold to trade with, put 8 sold of that into good like altcoin plays for this cycle. So I'm thinking like your Solana, AVAX, your Ray, your Joe, your
just put on the Sol.
Yeah, you just hold it in Sol, and then just like it's next cycle. Yeah, it's next cycle that you might make your next big 10x or something like that. So I think people try to out trade the market, and they try to be too active with so many different things. So I think sometimes people just need to remember that the biggest returns will always be actually your spot bags. So like majority of my portfolio, I'm going to say over 50% of my portfolio is just in my DCA, in my spot bags that I accumulated. I actually haven't bought. I lie. I bought some Nia. I bought some Say. I bought some Sui just the other day. Just as sort of not much, like only $250, but I put a little bit into those just to maybe 5-10x them. However, like it's portfolio management that ruin a lot of people in crypto because they either heavily expose themselves to too many risky plays, or they don't just have a bag that sits there and accumulates the majority of their wealth for this cycle. So
I think sometimes just sitting still is the play. And to be honest, for the gentleman asking about what to do with the Sol, I'm so bullish on Sol that if I had 10 Sol and that's all I had for this run, I would honestly just sit on the 10 Sol and I'd let it quadruple. And hey, if you want to have a dabble, take 20% of that and throw it at a low cap. Just knowing that you may walk away with zero. But yeah, that's what I do. I'd probably try and just try and grow that bag. You know, if you could quadruple that bag this run, try and time the top, you might walk away a happy man. I mean, 10 sold to 40 sold worth of value is not a bad play.
No.
I'll take it.
Not at all.
I'll take a quad.
No, exactly. And I think like if you like 10 sold now at 100 is I think they hit a few $300. I'm going to say minimum target. That's you've turned $1,000 into $3,000. So like, there's not much sort of like you do that in the stock market or something, like, it just doesn't happen. So I think sometimes it's better just being safe with your money
I
than
think
trying
sometimes
to
the
chase
crypto
that happens.
market as well kind of gives us more of a gambling attitude than we should have. And what I mean by that is you'll see every day you'll jump on and someone will jump on there with some obscure coin and be like, I made, look at my portfolio, which by the way, I doctored or faked so many times. I can tell you guys, like heaps of those, influencers that are jumping on saying I've got 10 ETH or 20 ETH. What am I copying today? They're full of shit, man. That's just they just farming engagement.
Yeah, engagement.
No one's going on
100%.
asking their followers where to put 20 ETH. That's just
and
crazy.
So this is really important. Okay, so I made 100x on blog, hit 19k, and then round tripped it back to 1k. Now this is Cyrus, bro. I just want to share this really quickly. I know this is a self plug, but it's very important. So. Ooh. I know this is so important. Okay, so I actually put out a video just the other day about my meme coin strategies because a lot of people can run up a bag, like you just said, 100x, but a lot of people don't know how to trade and take profits. So I would highly suggest, Cyrus, that bro, you messed up, but that's okay.
You're
learning.
I've done it. Green's done it.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I've got 50 stories that are the same.
Watch my video. It's literally, I think, my second last video that I dropped. So definitely watch this because I go through so many good sort of meme coin strategies that I have. I don't want to say perfected, but things that I've taught myself over the last 3 or 4 months because I've traded hundreds of meme coins.
Yeah, and you learn quick when you trade 5.
Dude, you do. And I know you've made bags, and I think I probably, if I sat down and calculated, I'm probably over 400x in just meme coins in the past 3 months. So you just learn stuff from that. And you know what it is, Cyrus? It's because I aggressively take profit and I aggressively cut something if it's weak, because so many of them go to zero. 95% of the meme coins go to zero. And that's probably the most important part, is that you learn to take profit along the way, scale out, always get your initials out at 2x, always. And then from that point, you scale out a position, and then that way you can lock in profit. And then if it goes down, you're not worried because you've locked in some profit. Yeah, you're never going to time the top, but you're never going to time the bottom either. And I think that's the biggest lesson that people in crypto need to learn.
Yeah, I agree. And also with him doing 100x, you've sort of got to think when I get into a trade these days, I always have my targets in my mind, rather than something I did wrong last bull. At the start, at least, was copying things and they'd go to a 10x, but you need to know in your mind unemotionally when you're going to start taking the money out, because if you just do it by, say, play it by ear, I found with me as a human, greed kicks in, and you go to a 10x and the narrative and the sentiment obviously is extremely bullish on Twitter, and you're like, hell no, I'm not selling, I'm buying a Ferrari, man. You're going to get dumped on because the dude buying a Ferrari is buying it with fiat. So just be aware, and sort of 100x I would have scaled out at 2x, 5x,
and that's another lesson I think I mentioned in the video is emotions as well. If I leave a trade, I don't go back and look what happened. I could. You can go back and say, I think I talk about this in the video. I traded with Dog with Hat at 200k, right? 200k. It ran to 290 million. Shit. So I probably could have retired. I probably threw 5 SOL into that, and if I had just left it, I would have made I would have made 5,000 SOL or something ridiculous. So you can't think like that. You always got to think, okay, what is my next opportunity and what's the best play in the market?
Yeah, what I sort of learned as well is, the taking the 2x and profit, the initials and profit at the 2x, that play you just mentioned, you can think like that. But the other thing is you've got to think about how long you can stay in the market for and survive. And if you don't do your strategy, the problem is, will you have the capital or the liquidity to make it to the coin that does 100x? Will you even survive long enough? And that's where I see a lot of people go wrong, in that, they don't last long enough. And even some of the people that I see hit 100x end up putting it back into the casino. And often, lose it all again. And I've seen it again, and I've done it. So now I make sure to send some to my bank. There's certain times where I take it and I cop the tax, and I take it to my Coinspot, I sell it, it triggers the tax event, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, I want to see that number in my bank account that's actually going to be used to eat real food, like, and buy real shit versus say digital stuff, which is cool and I love it. But when you there's a big wide world out here, and I've still got a mortgage, and the bank doesn't give a shit if I've got a bored ape, man. They just want the money. So,
exactly. And so
make sure you do that, and make sure you actually buy yourself something nice when you get a win. Get a bottle of something, put a good steak out, whatever you enjoy doing in the real world, do it, because that number can all go back to zero real quick.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, I think that's like my whole thing is to make enough money this cycle to then buy an investment property, buy somewhere for me as well. Like, if I can get one, if I can get two in a couple of years, like that's the whole goal. And then have money for the crypto market when it returns in 2020, like the next bear cycle. So, because like we've been around a long time, how it works. And that's it. Like, I've got people, my normie friends, that have been like, "You need to sell now." I'm like, "Not yet. Once we hit some all-time highs."
Once they start buying, we start selling.
Exactly. And I think, like, I know I'll have a big tax bill this cycle. I already know that. So I need to be in a position where I am still taking in profits, but then also can take out some money and be like, okay, my tax bill is, I can pay my tax bill and still have money left over, because that's really important too. And so
try to do it right. Otherwise, I see talk to a lot of Americans who did really well the last bull market and they were just talking about their tax bills that they didn't put money aside for. And you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're like, holy shit, man, I made all this money. They don't have as much now, and that's, some of them owe $250,000, and I'm like, whoa, $250,000.
That's not,
so
you don't want to be in that.
$250,000 before they're even in the green again. I'm like, holy shit. But risk tolerance, I suppose.
So Cyrus, sold meme coin season. It might be over a little bit. Liquidity, there's still liquidity there. We touched on it earlier. So go back in the stream when it does end and have a look. We did touch on it earlier, but there's still plays to be made. You just got to be careful, because I think at the moment the liquidity is off the board. So I'm not touching anything too much at the moment. And then the last comment here is go to Dubai zero tax. Look, man, if that was my life and I didn't have I'm about to get married, so my wife as well, my potential. So we're about to travel next year, but like we're coming back to Australia to again lock ourselves down, have a mortgage, to have a family, that sort of thing. So if my life was maybe around that and I could do zero tax and go to Dubai, I probably would do it, but I'm not going to.
Are you going through Dubai, Greenie, when you travel next year?
No, I don't think we fly in. We're flying via Qatar, actually.
So, you're going to Qatar? Cool.
Outside that, thanks, man. Thanks for the congrats. Yeah, that's lovely. Outside that, Craig, I don't really have too much else to discuss today. I think it's been a good hour and a half spiel.
I'm sort of the same as you. I'm sort of sitting on my hands. I'm just accumulating altcoins as they sort of bleed out a little bit here. Meme coins, I'm just going to avoid for the next little bit. And when everything's cyclic, so there'll be obvious signs when liquidity moves back to meme coins. And I'm happy with missing the first mover there again. That's okay. There'll be, once they start popping off, if they do, which I think they will, I'll jump back in. But for now, just those altcoins we mentioned earlier today in the stream, for anyone who wants to go back, those are the sort of ones I'm looking at. And then I think I'll spend the next couple of weeks sort of in the, this time of year now that, well, actually probably once New Year's is over, I'll start to look at any other newer options. But I'm quite happy in my spot bags. And that's kind of the position I saw for myself at this time. I wanted to be saying this, I'm just heavily in my spot bags. I haven't got anything, too risky or too large, I don't think. And I'm just going to wait for the market to tell me where to go, rather than me sort of dying to find something, because I'm just going to end up wrecking myself and losing money. So I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this time of year. And see where the market wants to put money, and then I'll catch that wave when the swell comes. So that's sort of my play. Enjoy this time of year, like you said, Greenie. Take a little bit of a step back, which I've done as well, which has been really good. And it's kind of nice seeing the market cool down a bit, because it kind of allowed me to not trade, because I was otherwise I'd be like, oh, I'm missing out. Where it's I pop my, don't get me wrong, I'm there every day, but closing statements. I guess I'm just going to sit on my hands, enjoy the new year, have a few beers, and then come back next year and see what the market's. Let it talk to me.
Yeah, and I agree. And obviously, we'll continue our weekly catch ups as much as we can. My wedding's about 3 weeks, so maybe that week we
Cool.
might have that week off or something. But outside that, yeah, dude, no, I agree. I think it's a good time to. Have I thought about making my own meme coin? Yeah, I have, but I'm not a coder, so I don't want to do that stuff. And also,
Yeah,
I don't want that
just the
reputation.
stigma.
I'm not a. Yeah, exactly.
I'll
The
trade
stigma,
other
and
people
so no,
so
I
I
don't.
don't cop shit. It's too much trouble,
Exactly. No,
man.
so yeah, I agree. I think it's too much trouble too, Mickey. So yeah, good question though. Yeah, winning in a bull run. Yeah, I know. Lucky it's we've been supported by some of these gains. But no, guys. Yeah, I agree. I'm sitting on my hands at the moment. I might dabble into a few NFTs potentially. If I see some good value there, maybe it's a Mad Lad or maybe it is some little pudgies actually. I'll think about that later today. But yeah, I think it's a good time to just relax, take a week or two off again, and just come back when more liquidity returns. Because people are away, like it's the premier holidays of the year. So like a lot of liquidity is off the tables at the moment. I think that's important to remember because you don't want to be trading and pushing trades when there's not much volume. And I think you're right. I think we're starting to see some good value in some of our top altcoin plays for this cycle. So why not just buy and hold those and not try and be too active with your trading bags because that'll often wreck you more than just buying and holding. So yeah, that's my 2 cents as well. But no, shout out to you, Craig. All his socials, I'll make sure they're in the YouTube description below. So that'll be his YouTube and his Twitter. Obviously, if you guys are watching on Twitter or YouTube, please follow us both. We really do appreciate your support. Hit the like button on the streams. It just, again, supports us and our journey. But no, shout out to you, Craig. Thanks for being here again today, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Greenie, and thanks to everyone who tuned in to listen to us today. Hopefully, you got a little bit of value out of it, and yeah, we'll chat again in a week, and hopefully, the market continues to do what it's doing. It's a nice time to be having these chats with you. So yeah, it's been cool.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks, mate. And yeah, shout out to everyone who tuned in today. Really appreciate it, and thanks for being here. Little personal news: I'll actually be on the NFT morning show tonight. So that's a tonight Australian show. So yeah, it's pretty crazy that they reached out to me last week. So that's lovely for them. I was actually gonna ask, what camera do you have set up? Because the camera I use to record my YouTube videos just doesn't want to be a webcam for me, so I can't use it live. So I'm on my live MacBook thing. I was out of curiosity.
Yeah, I'm using my iMac.
Yeah. Oh wow, iMac's incredible. Like this is a MacBook Air, and it's still a bit dodgy as you can see.
Yeah,
so,
the iMac's just the quality's pretty amazing, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I might do a bit of research, see if I can pick up a camera today and sort that out. But yeah, no, little personal news, so that's always great. But no, thanks again, everyone, for being here, and shout out to Craig. Have a good day, mate, and talk to you next week.